So if I was to ask you what you think flow state is, and you said something along the lines of, it's this state where your brain just functions and it's firing on all cylinders, all distractions are completely blocked out, and you're totally and wholly focused on the task that you're doing, you would be right. Now, how do we get into flow state? It seems like this just state of bliss that if we could get into it as much as possible, we'd be able to achieve like all the things we want to achieve. Right? So the first thing and the main thing that you need to do to get into flow state is that you need to determine the task that you're doing. Now, they've done studies on this, and basically, in order for a human to get into flow state, the challenge of the task needs to be just right. So picture, the Goldilocks stories of like, oh, she got like the porridge, and the porridge was like too cold, then it was too hot, and it was like just right. It's kind of the same thing with the task that you're doing if you want to get into flow state, right? So you need to hit the point where the challenge is difficult enough that it's actually like challenging you, but it's not too difficult that you just give up, right? So there's like, basically, as I've explained, like there are two ways that a challenge can be. It can either be too easy, and if it's too easy, then it's going to be boring. You're going to be bored because you're not getting challenged, right? And if it's too hard, you're going to give up on the task. So that is the main thing you need to get right, basically, when it comes to getting into flow state. You need to have a challenge that is not too easy that you're going to get bored, but not too difficult that you just give up immediately. And you can figure out ways to do that. I don't know, it's not too difficult to find like a task that challenges you enough. I know for me, like the points where I have gotten into flow state, and I think this is the first way you can kind of figure out how this works, is just sort of identify moments in your life when you are in flow state and picture like, oh, actually you'll notice that like, oh, this task it's not too easy, it's not too hard, it's like just right. I know for me, when I got into flow state, or when I noticed that I was in flow state, is usually when I'm playing football, right? When I'm playing indoor football with my friends. Like, other than the fact that I just love football, it's at a point where it's not too easy. Like, with the people that I play with, we've been playing football for so long. Like, we've all gotten like to a certain level where it's not too easy for everyone. But yeah, so it's not too easy. Like, not everyone is like, trash, and I'm just like running through everyone and scoring every time. Like, it's not easy. I actually need to be focused, but it's not like too difficult, because it's not too difficult to a point where I'm playing with like professional levels, or people that are just like levels above me, that it's too difficult for me to play, that I'm just gonna give up. It's like just right, where everyone's kind of around the same level. Now, there are people that are better than other people, and the people that are slightly worse than other people, but it makes for a competitive game. Like, every time we play, always like, it's always close. Now, here and there you might have a team that wins by like 3 goals, but generally it's like it's really close, right? Like by 1 goal. Like, everyone needs to be like firing on all cylinders in order to like drag your team to win. And that is the perfect depiction of flow state, because you got into a point where everyone is about the same level. Some are a little bit better, some a little bit worse, but the challenge, everyone needs to be fully engaged. You need to be fully engaged in order to achieve the goal, right? You're not just gonna breeze through and just get lucky with like goals and stuff, but it's not too difficult to where like, even if you keep trying your hardest, you're not going to break through. Like, guaranteed, if you try hard, if everyone tries their best, everyone's going to get something, right? You're gonna score a couple of goals, you're gonna do a couple of skills. It's gonna be fun, and that is the picture of flow state. Now, obviously, that's all fun and everything, it's football and whatever, but that's like fun stuff. We want to learn how to get into flow state for productive things that can actually change our lives, the work that we need to do. Now, the first thing, like as I've just mentioned in this example, is if you've got like passion for something, it's not too difficult to get into flow state. You've got passion for it, you like doing it, and then you just sort of find like that sweet spot in terms of challenge, and voila, right? Now, the difficulty with us is that when we're doing the tasks that we're doing that is going to change our lives, we don't usually like enjoy them very much. And I think I spoke about this in like my previous video, where I was just saying that like, you need to find a way to enjoy the process, and you can go watch that one. Either you've got passion for it, right, and you already enjoy the task like in its fundamental sense, so that's fine, or you find a way to sort of lower the friction between like your reward and like the hard work. So like when you do like the hard work, there's a gap between when you do the hard work and when you actually get the reward. And usually with like really difficult tasks, that gap is really massive, to the point where it doesn't feel that effective like in the moment. So you need to find a way to sort of reward yourself just in small periods, like lessen that gap. So that's another way you can enjoy the process. But I spoke about it in depth in my last video, so you can go watch that. But yeah, you find a way to enjoy the process. Either you have a passion for it, or you have your why, and you find a way to make yourself like enjoy the process. Then once that happens, you've got like the one component, which is you enjoy the thing, and then the second one is just you've got a challenge that's not too difficult but not too easy. And that you usually find pretty quickly, like as you engage yourself in a task, right? Either it's too easy and you just keep like knocking off all the easy tasks, and then you start like hitting a certain level where you actually need to challenge yourself. Like if you're doing anything that's of difficulty, anything of substance, like over a long period of time, you're going to get to a point where you get challenged. Like going back to my football example, if you start playing football, you're probably going to start playing people that are already playing, and it's just really difficult. It's almost impossible. But the more you play, the better you get. Or if you start playing a game like with people that it's just too easy, eventually you're going to get to a point where you're like, oh, I want to actually play with like people that are at a higher level, and you start challenging yourself more. It's the same thing with any task, right? You're going to find like difficulty in your task. You'll hit that sweet spot the more you do it. So I think the most important thing is just having the components of you find a way to enjoy the task, and the second one is you engage yourself in the task until you find that sweet spot, and that's how you hit flow state, basically. Now, the other little tricks that can help, these principles come from like the book Deep Work by Cal Newport. I suggest you read that. It's fantastic. But basically, when you're studying your typical things, you want to be fasted for the most part, because you don't want to have like eaten a big meal and you're like digesting carbs and it's difficult to focus. You want to cut out like all your distractions. Your phone should be like upside down, like halfway across the room. Notifications should be off. You don't want to be like watching while you're reading or whatever. You just fully want to be focused. You want to optimize your environment for focus. And again, I've made a video on this again before, one of my previous videos. But also just things like figure out the time that you're most focused. And for me, I know that's for most people it's in the morning, right? When I wake up, like I've woken up in the morning, bath, and I'm ready to work. Like that's when I'm most focused. My mind is most clear. I haven't had any distractions usually. But there's some people who work better at night. Whatever it is, you want to figure out the best way, that's the most optimal conditions for you to study or for you to work, right? And those are like the cheap things. But like I said, the main thing you want to get right here is that you want to have a process you're fully engaged in, whether that's because you have a passion for it or you've found a way to enjoy the process. And two, you want to hit that sweet spot where it's not too easy, where you're bored, but it's not too difficult, where it's too challenging and you just give up. You find like the sweet spot. But yeah, make sure you subscribe to join the Self-Improvement Brotherhood, and until next time, see you boys.